Welcome to Pet Talk with Lisa Lawrence. Since 1996, Scat Street Cat Rescue's prime focus has been feral cats because of the limited options available for them. The majority of cats rescued by Scat are socialized and available for adoption. Our guests today are Heather and Aaron from Scat Cat Rescue. Welcome and thank you for coming on Pet Talk. So the first thing that I want to talk about is the number of adoptions that you had last year. Can you, versus other years, can we just discuss that first of all?
Well, we had a record-breaking year last year. We intook 510 cats. And we had how many adoptions?
I believe we ended at 514.
So
we actually had a negative year overall, which was
that
one of the
was
first
good.
times that we've ever done
really
that.
Good. Yeah. So people can come into your facility and see cats, is that correct?
absolutely. Our adoption center is at 50th and Faithful, and Aaron is there Tuesday through Friday, and then we're also open on Saturday. We generally have between 4 and 8 cats in the center at any one time. We're a foster-based organization, so the vast majority of our cats, we generally have about 120 to 150 cats in our care at any one time, and they're in our foster homes.
Yeah. So for low season, we've been sitting around 130, 150. Last summer, we got as high as 267. I counted at one time with all the kittens. So we definitely see that number spike a bit more in the summer when we get more of these little guys.
Well, this has been a horrific winter.
Yes.
How did that fare?
We had some cats we took in that were badly frostbitten. Some very sweet kitties. In fact, we have one Rue that she's missing most of her ears and a bit of her nose, but she's sweet and she's healed up and ready for adoption.
Okay.
But it was a very tough winter. Cats just can't, the way February was.
Yeah, exactly. So what is the veterinary care that the cats receive when they do come to SCAT?
So every single cat that comes through SCAT is spayed and neutered. They're microchipped. They receive a tattooed green N in their right ear. They also receive all age-appropriate vaccinations, deworming, and depending on their parasite load, multiple rounds of deworming.
Yes.
And then they also receive, they also receive frequently ear mite treatment, and they're FELUC and FIV tested, which are immune disorders that cats can get when they're living on the streets.
Right.
And we're actually the only organization that does test for that regularly.
Okay, because feline leukemia is so prevalent in...
It's only actually in like 1% of the feline population, but it's shared through casual contact. So if cats are in the same space and they're co-grooming and stuff, and it does affect their immune system. So it's a virus that's transmitted between cats, but it affects their immune system. And with feline leukemia, unlike FIV, it actually will shorten their lifespan. So you're looking between more like 6 to 10 years, whereas a cat with FIV could still live about a normal lifespan, which would be more between 13 and 20 years. But it's just dependent on the environment they're living in. So if they're in a higher stressed environment, so if they have FIV and they're living outside and they're fighting constantly, you would see a reduction in lifespan. It's the ones that live indoors that
So how do you separate the cats before they meet the other cats in the organization to ensure health?
Well, they go straight to one of our wonderful partner in veterinary clinics and get a full checkout. They get everything done that they need to get done, and then they're quarantined for 2 weeks before we do anything. So yes, very important.
So that ensures that the other cats don't get anything and that they're all healthy.
Yeah.
So how would people how would they go about adopting a cat from Scat Cat Rescue?
Well, the first thing is fill out we have an adoption screening form, and then Aaron takes it from there.
Yeah, so they would fill out the adoption pre-screening form, which is available on our website. You would list kind of the cats you're interested in meeting, things like that. We go through the form, make sure that there's no, anything that maybe we wouldn't want for our cat. So if somebody's wanting a cat to be specifically an outdoor cat or a mouser, most of our cats, we've socialized into now pet cats, so no longer appropriate for that sort of life. But once that's been approved, then we arrange a meet and greet in the foster home. So you're able to see the cat kind of in their best light and ask any questions of their foster. So we have some cats that are maybe a little bit more challenging to place because of the way they've come to us. Some of them are a little bit more timid. They don't show as well, but having the ability to talk to the foster and ask any questions and kind of, get rid of any fears that you might have with the cat and get a better understanding of who they are. If it's determined to be a match, if the adopter thinks it's a good match, if the foster thinks it's a good match, then the adopter would come to the center, which is on, again, 50th and Faithful. They would pay the adoption fee at that time, complete all the paperwork, and then we have the foster release the cat into their care.
So you give shots, you spay, neuter, microchip, and tattoo your cats.
Yeah,
As well as we take in some fairly badly injured cats sometimes.
That's right. So you're taking care of all the vet bills for these cats.
Yes.
So what is the adoption fee for the cats?
For a kitten under a year, it's $180.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yes, 1 to 7 years is $150, and then
Unbelievable.
8 years and above is $90.
That's such good prices. And, you know, considering that that's taking care of the spaying and neutering, that's amazing. That's just amazing.
Yeah.
So when you adopt out your cats, do you have specific rules? For instance, you want these cats to stay indoors, that type of thing?
Yes, generally speaking. Well, and the city of Saskatoon has a no roaming bylaw. So it's important, and we do our best to help educate people about the city bylaw.
Right.
So we have them indoor only, or they're allowed outside in kind of safer situations. So if you have them on a harness and a leash and you're supervising them, if you have cat-proof fencing, which can be somewhat cost prohibitive, but if you end up with a catio or something like that, lots of people are turning and building catios. So their cat can have safe outdoor time, because outdoor enrichment can be good for a cat, but it needs to be safe. A lot of people think cats have the independence level of like a 7 or an 8-year-old.
Right.
But they're more like a 2 or 3-year-old that can jump 7 times their own height.
So can we just see what a harness looks like for a cat?
sure.
Here we go. So
This is the mother of these kittens.
yes, this is Prairie, and then she's got 5 kittens that will be 8 weeks old here shortly. So she's got her harness on, so it's not just a collar, it's a body harness, and then a leash. And I've actually had cats that get trained to take for walks on leashes.
Actually, we took our cats for walks all the time, exactly. So how do you match a cat with a family?
It really depends on what they're looking for. So generally, if somebody's a first-time cat owner, we recommend that they go a little bit older. Just because kittens, as cute as they are kind of like a mixed bag. You don't know what their final personality is going to be. We can kind of see, you know, this one's a little bit more adventurous, this one's a little bit more timid, things like that, but you can't really tell. So if you're looking for a specific type of cat, we do recommend you go older into that 1 year, year and a half range, because their personality is a little bit more defined. And then we just try to match with the lifestyle of the family. So if a family, you know, has a bunch of kids, you maybe wouldn't want to go towards a more timid cat that's not used to an active household, and we would try to steer them towards the right cat. Or if you have a dog and the cat doesn't like dogs, so we just try to match the cat's temperament and like what they're used to with people. And that's why the meet and greet is so important, to see if, you know, there's a connection in how the cats react to the new owners.
Well, I have a really strong belief that pets are for their lifetime and not just for Christmas. And I said that in my last show, but I believe it so strongly because, you know, a lot of people get these little kittens and then they don't realize the work that a pet is, and you know, they just want them because they're so little and cute. And that's why I always recommend to people, get an older cat. It's so worthwhile.
Well, in any cat, I mean, this is a long-term commitment.
Right.
And you want to be committed to being able to provide the veterinary care that they need.
That's right.
And the time and attention and everything else that they need.
That's
You know,
exactly
it can be
right.
a 20-year.
That's exactly right. So basically, can you tell us about the dangers about having either an outdoor cat or declawing cats are?
Well, declawing is essentially taking this much of your finger off. It's not just trimming a fingernail. So there are a lot of vets who flat out will not do it anymore. And
there's some provincial declaw bans now, and we're hoping to see that happen in Saskatchewan as well. Because claws are not just important for defense; they're also important for like their mental well-being. Scratching is an innate thing in cats; like they need to do it. So even if you do declaw a cat, you'll still see them do the scratching motions on different parts of your house, and it can cause, if done, you know, incorrectly or even correctly. I mean, there's some pain associated.
Yes.
Oftentimes, when we have a cat with litter box issues, if it's not something to do with the litter or something something medical, we will ask if the cat is declawed, because they stand differently when they're urinating versus pooping. And so oftentimes they have to stand more on to the injury. And so then they'll start peeing outside the box. So I always say it's a lot easier to buy a scratching post than clean your whole house.
Yes. Right.
And it's just, you know,
and you can have a few scratching posts throughout your house as well.
It's a good idea to have both vertical ones and the horizontal ones, because you know, give them a variety of things to choose from.
Exactly.
And surfaces to choose from, and then if they do that, they won't hopefully be scratching on your couch.
Well, and I've seen the rubber little things that you can put on their nails so that
Those
they
work
don't
well.
cause any damage.
Yeah, and it's
And then
really
you can have
easy to
different colors.
trim cats' nails too, for the most part,
Yeah.
especially if you start when they're young. But I got a cat at 2 years old, and she learned just fine. I trim their nails regularly.
Yeah, that's the secret, is just do little bits while they, more often rather than a lot less often.
All at once.
Okay, I totally agree with you on that. So cats are carnivores.
Yes.
So what do you want to read on a cat food label? Obviously you want your protein first. And can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Well, it would be a good idea, of course, always to consult with your veterinarian about what the appropriate food is for the cat that you have. You know, cats have different medical issues and maybe life stage, that sort of thing. But yes.
You want to consider the calories as well. So like I have 2 cats at home, and I was looking for a very high protein diet. I read all the stuff online, and I went and I bought this food for them, and I thought, like, I mean, it was really good quality, but my cats got really fat because the calorie content for the food for their appropriate size, I'd only be able to give them 1/8 of a cup a day. So they actually end up gaining a 1/2 kilogram, and I mean, they're only supposed to be 3.4 kilograms. So that's quite a bit of weight overall on the cat. And I spent the next, I've spent the next 2 years kind of slowly get it off them. So I think it's just really important to think of your cat, what they need calorically, and then try to match the food that way.
Okay. All right. We'll be back with more Pet Talk with Lisa Lawrence in a minute. Thank you. We're back on Pet Talk with Lisa Lawrence, and we were talking about nutrition and what to look for in cat food. I want to talk about now how often cats should be fed. I know that there is free feeding, but I want to know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Well, some cats can do just fine on that, but like Erin was saying before the break there, some can get far too heavy far too quickly, and then you're dealing with things like potentially diabetes down the road. So you really want to maintain a healthy weight. So other cats just need to get fed 2 or 3 times a day, and they do better with that.
I always highly recommend scheduling feeding to my adopters, just because oftentimes cats also like hide illness. So one of the first signs that something might not be right is that they suddenly aren't finishing their breakfast. Whereas you might not notice that if you just fill the bowl and then wait for it to go, especially if you have more than 1 cat.
That's a great cue. Yeah, and if they don't eat their supper, then you know something's really wrong.
You gotta watch them,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So how often should you clean your cat's water dish?
You don't want to give it a full clean, every couple days, just because a cat's mouth can have quite a bit of, bacteria in it, and it can build up that slime. So you want to give it a good rinse and clean it out semi-regularly.
And it's important that they drink, right?
Yes.
Water is very important, especially if you're feeding dry food. Then they absolutely need more water. If you're feeding a wet food, there's more water in it. But yeah, access to clean, fresh water is very important.
Right, yeah. And I guess the thing is you would use just regular dish soap and then make sure it's well rinsed. Is that basically it? Or put it in a dishwasher?
Or in a dishwasher, yeah. You don't want to use residue, but...
Listen, what you doing? So,
just running around.
The other thing is that this is the perfect time to ask this question. Cats, why would you want to have cat toys to play with cats? And why would you want to have cat toys so that they can play by themselves and amuse themselves?
So cats have a lot of energy, especially kittens, and you want to make sure that you provide them that mental stimulation. Because if they were outside in their quote unquote natural environment, they're domesticated now, so they should be, you know, more so with people. But if they were outside, you know, they'd be chasing birds and chasing mice and doing all these things. So they do have these natural instincts. And so I say, if you don't get them toys, they're going to find their own fun. So they might be climbing your curtains or, you know, running down your toilet paper roll. So there's tons of different toys that you can buy for cats. Some are more appropriate for some than others. And what we find is every cat has its own type of toy it likes to play with. So some might really like catnip toys. Other might like plastic springs. There are lots of different ways to play with your cat as well. So you want to make sure that they have a variety of things to, you know, chase and pounce and play and bat. But you also want to consider interactive play. So interactive play is quite stimulating for cats. So like using a feather wand or a laser pointer or something like that. Just because sometimes as they get older too, they don't necessarily play as much unassisted.
So who do we have here? What is this cat's
This
name?
is Darren, and Darren's just over a year old, but he's quite large. So we think his daddy must have been pretty big.
He is big.
He's a sweetheart.
Yeah.
He's on a diet right now.
He's on a diet. Yes. He had been adopted and came back into our care, but he's got a few extra pounds.
I find too, even a sheet of tissue paper can make a very fun, very inexpensive toy for kitties.
What is it?
You can use crumpled ball, like as long as it's new. Like cats really like new things. They like to explore, like to see things. So one of the things we can also suggest is rotating the toys. So not having the same toys out all the time, and having, there you go, change in the environment, and seeing what they enjoy. What's that?
What is it? You gonna pounce at it?
She's like, no.
But the pen, maybe.
Oh, now we're interested.
Yes.
So play is important both from a physical and, as Erin was saying, you know, a mental stimulation standpoint. Keep them from getting bored, keep them from getting into trouble. And it's fun to have playtime with your cat.
Yes, exactly.
Cardboard boxes are great fun too.
Yeah, you get your cat a toy in a cardboard box, and then the cardboard box is more fun than the actual toy.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So the other question that I have is, you know, we were talking about taking cats out on leashes and having a space for them. Are there cats that people can have that they don't get allergic to? Are there
Hypoallergenic?
There are two breeds, right? Devon Rex and the Siberian
Forest cat.
Right.
People are saying, you know, like Russian blues may be more hypoallergenic. Some people say ragdolls may be more hypoallergenic. And the important thing to note is that it's really dependent on the person with the allergy and the cat itself. So if you do have mild allergies, you might show more symptoms towards one cat than another cat. So you just have to be willing to like commit if you get a cat into your care that you might be on some allergy meds for the first few months. We usually do see those allergies kind of dissipate as they become used to the specific cat standard, but it's not a guarantee. Sometimes it does get worse over time.
right? Ragdolls are my favorite.
They're
Pretty
beautiful.
cute.
Oh, yeah,
We
I
had
just
some
love
mixes at the rescue and they'd just flop. It was hilarious.
Oh,
Like, well,
I
we're
know.
assuming mixes because we don't know where they came from, but
Right.
the behavior.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So, as far as your foster homes, how do you become a foster parent with the organization?
So we have a foster home agreement, and it is again available on our website. Essentially, you know, we ask for all the information like what pets are in your house and things like that. But as long as you are willing to have a cat in your home and you have a quarantine space, most of the time you're able to sign up and be a foster home. So you would submit your home foster home agreement. We then pass that on to a foster home committee. So these are people who either have fostered in the past, are current fosters. They go and do a home check. And the home check is like, people are always like, oh no, what do I need to do for my home check? I'm like, you just need to be there. We're really going to like look at the space that you have, see your pets, and then answer any questions that you might have about fostering. So explaining how to get food, how to get litter, how vet appointments work. If you purchase anything for your foster cat. So for example, if you purchase anything for your foster cat, you can get an in-kind tax donation receipt, but we're not able to reimburse. Whereas we have lots of food and litter typically available at the shelter. So explaining those different processes. Once that's complete, then we start looking for the right foster cat for the foster homes. You don't have to take every type of cat. People are often like, oh no, what if you give me a feral cat and I don't want it? And I'm like, I'm not going to put a feral cat in your house if you don't aren't comfortable with that.
Right.
We're always looking for the right. So we have right fit. So we have some fosters that specifically want mums and kittens. We have some that want just kittens. We have some that want, you know, older adult cats, some like seniors. We have Feluke FIV fosters, so foster homes specifically for those types of cats.
That's nice.
Yes, it's wonderful to have those, and those are a resource. But I mean, we are always looking to recruit more feral cat fosters because that is the population that we have the hardest time placing.
Right.
People are often afraid of feral cats.
Right.
Which, I mean, most of the time, the feral cat is going to just need a couple months to decompress. Most of the cats that we get were in contact with humans at some point in their life, and they've been abandoned or escaped and become lost, and we use the term, have gone to bush.
Yeah.
So they've had to survive. Yeah.
You have cats at PetSmart.
We do, at the Adoption Center at Preston Crossing.
Right. And so how does that work?
So we have cats go for up to 2 weeks or otherwise adopted. So because we're foster based, we do want the cats primarily staying in their foster homes, but it's a great way to feature cats because sometimes people see a cat and they're not looking necessarily for a cat. They're at PetSmart. They're probably buying cat food already, but they see a cat and they fall in love. So we do a 2-week placement, up to a 2-week placement of any of our cats at PetSmart. And those are our cats that, you know, are quite social. They're not going to be super spooked. Or sometimes we do try to, you know, get some of the ones where we're not sure how they're going to do when they get to go there, and sometimes we see them just kind of blossom socially, and so that's always nice to see. Sometimes they don't like it there and then they do go back to their foster home, so we're not forcing any of the cats to stay there if they're unhappy.
So are people allowed to visit with those cats? Is that good socialization for the cats?
Oh yeah, so they're welcome to go into the PetSmart Adoption Center with a staff member, or we have volunteers there most of the time, or not most of the time, but we have a volunteer there Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. and 7 p.m. So those are the 2 feeding shifts. So volunteers are very important so that we can keep our cats there. And then we usually have a volunteer there just for like cuddle and playtime at 2 p.m. But that shift isn't always filled if we're not able to find daytime volunteers.
Oh, that's wonderful. I think sometimes it's a misconception thinking that they're just for sale there, but it's nice that they're for adoption.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes there's kittens there too.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
if it's kitten season, we get them in there as fast as we can.
And we do adoption events all around town and all throughout the year.
Yeah.
So
can I
keep an
hear
eye
about
on our
those?
website.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
We have, so we work with the different Pet Value, so Pet Value Panorama, Pet Value Warman, Pet Value Kensington. We also work
And
with Critters
Critters.
at all the Critters
and
locations.
we'll set up earlies and we'll
Yeah,
set
we've
up
done some
specific
stuff.
events there.
Yeah.
Okay.
We did a kitten shower fundraiser last year. That was our first attempt at that, and that turned out really well.
Yeah.
That
So
was
we
a
were
lot of
actually
fun.
based out of Sherbrooke Community Center at that time. So we did it thinking, you know, so people were able to come. There was an entrance fee, and then we asked people to bring, you know, a baby gift for the kitten shower.
Oh, isn't
so
that
they
lovely?
brought. We got a lot of litter, and that was fantastic because we don't often get a lot of litter donations. It's not glamorous
Right.
like food or toys.
Right.
So.
That's wonderful. Erin and Heather, it has been wonderful talking to you. I wish you the very best in your future. Can people donate? Is there a way that they can
please.
donate?
Yes.
There's lots of ways to donate through SCAT. So I mean, monetary donations are obviously critical because that's what pays our vet bills, and we do, because of the cats we take, it, you know, we need that money. But you can also donate like aluminum cans. You can donate food. You can donate. Homemade, handmade items for our craft sales and things like that. So lots of people do crochet and things like that.
Support our events, and you keep an eye on our website and our social media. We have events going on all year long.
So for more information, please call Scat Cat Rescue and give them a call or go on their website. Have a wonderful week, everyone, and we'll hopefully be able to support Scat Cat Rescue in the future.